Hey everyone, welcome back to McFord's Garage. Been a while, week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. Torino is doing great. The new radiator doing the job. Had it out the other day. It was about 85 degrees or so out. Did the trick. Totally fixed the cooling problem. Took it up to a shop I trust to have him check the ball joints. I don't. I'm just unsure of myself when checking the ball joints, so I took it up to this shop in Shelby Township, Major Automotive, Complete Auto Repair. Joe's a great guy. He's worked on my daily drivers before, and top notch work, fair prices, knows what the hell he's doing, and business shows it. Always busy. But anyways, he checked out the ball joints for me as a favor as he stopped working on classic cars. As you'll see some shops like that do YouTube and things like that. They stop working on classic cars because shit just snowballs. And you're tying up a hoist, reproduction stuff doesn't work, or you can't get parts, this and that. So, but he did it as a favor, not for free, but he did it as a favor and checked the ball joints for me. And the lowers are a little bit loose. Not unsafe, but they are loose. So I'm going to do uppers and lowers since I'm getting into it. But that's not what I'm doing today. But once those are done and this weekend's project is done, it's going to go up for an alignment because the car tracks straight down the road. It's just the camber, which looking here, it doesn't look like it's, it's out at the top of the wheel, but most of the time after driving it, it does look like that. So, I want to get it aligned after I get the rest of the stuff straight, and I know the front end is 100% good. And I'm ready after that to drive the hell out of this thing, take it on longer than a 15-mile trip, take it out and put some miles on it and really test it and make sure everything's good. So, ball joints aren't going to be here until Tuesday. And so, that being said, I'm going to make the most of my time this weekend, my Saturday off, my Saturday to not work rotation, and going to do some work on the car. We're going to finally put that quick ratio steering gearbox in, get that swapped out, and then this coming week, it's supposed to rain like the first half of the week, so we'll get to working on the ball joints then. The uppers and lowers are riveted in, so hopefully that's going to make it easier than if the lowers were pressed in. But anyways, what we're going to do, we're going to start with the gearbox. And first thing will be getting the lines off. Actually, first thing is going to be getting under the car and knocking the pitman arm loose from the center link, and then we'll come back up top and pull the lines off. Figure why make a mess and then go lay in it. And I'll attempt to get the lines off. They are really tight in the gearbox, and not the greatest. Looks like a ton of room, but trying to get a regular wrench in here, it's tight. So if I can't get them broke loose, what I will most likely do is disconnect the lines at the pump and drop the gearbox out with the lines, and then disconnect them once I have it out. They can be changed in the car. It just depends on how tight the lines are in the gearbox, if you can actually get them broke loose. So we're going to start this project. Gonna get it up in the air, get underneath, get that pitman arm broke loose from the center link, then put it back down on the ground, come up top, and see if I can get the lines loose while it's up in the air, getting that pitman arm loose. I'll see if the 3 bolts that hold the gearbox to the frame will break loose. Hopefully those do. But then it's onto the lines and try and get this gearbox out. Should be able to get it all done by tomorrow afternoon, I hope, as long as nothing stupid happens. Yeah. So, gonna get started on it. Not gonna film the whole thing and do sections where I speed it up. I'll get partway done and I'll film a little more, take a little more video, and then work some more and take some more video and just kind of edit them, mash them all together. So, but yeah, the car is running and driving fantastic, stays cool, great oil pressure. This car is most certainly come back to life. So my upholstery kit did show up. Now I'm just waiting on the go-ahead from the upholstery guy that I can bring the seats into him and have him swap out the seat covers and definitely fix the bottom of the driver's seat. There is almost no foam, and you sit probably about 2 inches lower than you do in the passenger seat. But that's future stuff. I'm going to get rolling right now working on this and be back shortly with some more video and update on the work. Alright, so under it, got the nut broke loose. It's a 3/4 inch wrench on that. Got the center link popped off. Took about 3 hits with a small sledge. I don't know where the hell to go. 3 hits with the small sledge and the pickle fork, and it popped right off. So gonna go up top and see if I can get the lines off the steering gear, and then I will take out the bolt that holds the steering coupler to the gearbox, and we'll see if we can get those lines off from up top. The fuel line, sometime at its point, I think when it was in the accident and it was straightened out, the fuel line was cut here and then back over here, and I replaced the hose that was in here. This is high pressure, lined fuel injection hose, so it's good. I replaced this after I put the motor in and to get the car running. I'll probably take the bolt out of there for the hold down clamp, and then what I'll be able to do is it will allow me to swing that pipe and the hose over this way and out of the way of the gearbox for me to get it out. So don't want to undo the fuel line, have a bunch of fuel come out, make a mess, garage stink like fuel, like gas. So now I'm gonna go up top and see if I can get those lines broke loose. If not, I'll be taking them off this power steering pump and bringing this thing down. But before I do that, I'm gonna get out the socket and my impact and see if I can get these zipped loose. If I can, then I'll just snug them back up, do everything up top, come back down, take them out, and take the gearbox out. Stay tuned. All right, so we're calling it a night for tonight, but it's back down on the ground. Steering gear is in. I ended up I could not get the splined end of the rag joint lined up right with the input shaft on the steering gearbox, and my shoulder was saying screw you. So I ended up bolting the steering gearbox to the frame and went inside the car, pulled the driver's seat because it's way easier to get up under the dash with the seat out of the way, especially because I'm not a little guy and I'm not like 20 years old anymore. 56 does not contort like it used to. So, got up under the dash, took the 3 screws out for the boot at the bottom of the column to the firewall, and undid the short shaft that the rag joint is connected to off the end of the steering column, and cleaned it up. I opened up both ends, both splined ends of it, where it goes onto the end of the steering column and onto the input shaft of the steering gearbox. Got everything lined up. Second try, I got it slid on. I had to tap the end of the steering column up a little bit, like back up into the column a little, and to give me the room to be able to get the rag joint and assembly straight on enough to get it onto the steering gear. But I got it on. So, oh shit, I do still have to put it up in the air. I got to get a socket for the Pitman arm nut. I do not have one that's big enough. My biggest socket is, I think, yeah, I got tools all over the damn place. 1.25 inches. So it's probably 1 5/16 inches. Don't know. Going to take the nut off the original Pitman arm. Take that with me tomorrow. Stop at Harbor Freight. Pick up a big socket, and so I can really run that nut down, tighten it down. But I got it pretty tight with a adjustable wrench. But now that everything's hooked up, I want to hook my impact up to it and just really run that nut down tight. And tomorrow I will flush the pump, all the fluid out of the pump. I will hook the lines up to the steering gearbox, and I will fill the pump up with fresh fluid, and we will crank it over, bleed the system. And it's actually supposed to not rain tomorrow, the only day over the next 4 days. So get it all bled, and we will take it out for a spin and see how this new box works. So box came out real easy because you don't have to line up the splines on the input shaft with the splined end of the rag joint. Going back in, different story, but I already went over that. So anyways, gonna go in, wash up, have something to eat, and just enjoy the rest of the evening. So everyone, I will add a short video to this tomorrow after I finish it up, get everything back together and bled, and I will take you on a test drive with me. So stay tuned for the next segment that will mash all these videos together. Alright, so welcome back to McFord's Garage. It's the next day on the steering gear swap. We are all back together. Flushed the pump, flushed everything out of it, then ran a fresh quart of Type F through it. Hoses hooked up just fine, and bled the system. Just hooked up my remote start button. Had the car in the air, so there's no weight on the front suspension, and bled the system. We're full, so we should be good to go. Gonna take it for a test drive and see what happens. See if it's good. It should at least be tighter than what was in here, and hopefully it's a lot tighter, but I guess we'll find out what this Lares quick ratio steering box is all about. So anyways, we will be back. All right, so took it around through the subdivision behind my house to make sure, you know, the system was, allow it to just kind of bleed while just cruising through the subdivision, making left turns, right turns, and such. Definitely way tighter than the box that was in here. Definitely kind of weird though. The more you get into the, the more you turn it to the left or turn it to the right, it like gets quicker. So it seems. Don't know if there is any more air in the system, but seems to work pretty good. Gonna take it out, jump out on the freeway, run it for a mile, jump off, and see how it does. Kind of do a end of swap report, and yeah, so we'll get on the freeway here. Won't be able to jam it, kind of hard holding the phone, steering, shifting. So, but temperature is doing great. It's nice and toasty out here. Good oil pressure. We got 40 fully warmed up at idle. Temperature's doing really good. I haven't even had it come close to 200 yet. So here we go. Oh, gotta turn. And turn again. The ball joints will be in, I think, Tuesday, and I'll be doing the lower ball joints. And get it aligned, and front end will be good. But yeah, it's, man, no loosey-goosey. You turn it just a little bit and this thing moves. So, boy, this is way nicer than the gearbox that was in here. The whipped gearbox, which is really weird because the car doesn't have a ton of miles on it. It's only got like 70,000 miles on it. But cruises good down the freeway. So, 70, 75. Temperature's doing great. Not hot. Oil pressure is great at 60 psi. So we're going to get off here. And it's just getting better and better. Can't wait to get the lower ball joints in and get it aligned. It just seems like I think it's the camber, the tip out at the top, the tip in or out, vertical tip in or out, just seems tipped out more than what it should be. So, and that could be, having something to do with, sometimes it seems like it gets a little bit funky when you hit some dips going at speed, like on the freeway, but didn't experience that today, so very possible. Also had something to do with a really loose gearbox. So that's it for now, and final report when I get home. All right, so here we go. Wrap up video on the steering gearbox swap. The Lares 10841, which is the brand new one. It's not the reman that they do. It's an actual brand new one. I'm going to have a seat here. So, well worth it. Well worth it. Much tighter steering. I mean, you just barely move the wheel and the car goes in that direction. Very nice. Much tighter. Of course, the original box there, pretty toast, pretty loose. I have to get a different pitman arm puller so I can get that pitman arm off. The pitman arm is actually still good, so I'm going to save that. I'll throw the box on the shelf. I mean, it's good for a core. You know, and it's the original one to the car. You know, if that really means anything. I mean, the car is never going to be like 100% Concours restored, but it is the original one off the car. Everything came apart really easy. Lines came off well. Like 3 hits with the pickle fork, and the center link separated from the pitman arm. The bolts holding the gearbox to the frame, those zipped right out with the old M12 compact 3/8 drive impact. Love that thing. The little bit of pry bar and the coupler at the gearbox, I mean, it moved real easy. Getting underneath the car and, you know, pulling the gearbox out came out pretty easy. Putting it back in, trying to line it up, trying to line the splines up with the rag joint coupler, didn't go so well because it does go on in a specific orientation. There's a little bit of a wide flat spot where there is no splines, and that lines up with the same thing on the input shaft of the steering gear. So what I ended up doing, I bolted the gearbox to the frame, went inside the car, ended up pulling the driver's bucket seat out. It just makes it so much easier getting up under the dash than trying to squeeze up between the steering wheel, the seat, and the floor and everything. So I pulled the seat out, got up under the dash, got the rag joint shaft out of the car. You know, opened up the clamping end on both ends, so stuff slid together real easy, a lot easier. And I had to actually take the hammer and tap the end of the steering column up, because these columns, they're collapsible, so that you can actually kind of adjust. You got a little bit where you can pull that shaft down out of the column a little, or tap it up into the column a little. So tapped it up in and was able to get that rag joint coupler on the input shaft and get the other end onto the end of the steering shaft. So got that all tightened up together, the clamping bolts on both ends, and I think that's pretty much where I wrapped it up last night. This afternoon, got home and I flushed the power steering system, because right in the box, Lares says, you know, if there's dirty fluid in there, it avoids a warranty. So even though this fluid is not even a year old, I flushed it out, ran a whole nother quart through the pump to totally flush it out, filled a 2-liter bottle of Type F trans fluid, and hooked up the lines, filled the pump, cranked it over with a remote start, filled it some more, did the same thing, did it a few times, and the wires on the remote start were long enough, I was able to actually reach in the window, grab a hold of the steering wheel, and slowly turn it side to side while I was cranking the engine over to bleed the air out of the system. Got that done. Yeah, I had put the seat back in the car and just made sure everything was topped off. Took it for a ride through the subdivision behind me, making left turns, right turns, you know, engine cranking a little more RPM than it does when you're just cranking it with the starter. And swung by home real quick, checked the fluid, topped it off, and went out for a good ride. And jumped on the freeway. And man, it feels good. It really, really feels good. So got home, shut it off, checked the fluid, right at the full mark, good to go on that. So it's sitting out there in the driveway because I cleaned up my disaster of a garage from doing all this. Got a bunch of sheets and rags, towels to throw in the washing machine and get clean. But anyways, kind of cleaned up my bench. Got a few things to list for sale. Got a Craftsman home tool storage chest. I think it's got like 5 drawers. That's going to be on Marketplace. The old Craftsman 4-inch vise, that'll be on there. Both of those were my dad's. I am keeping my old box, bottom box, and my top box. Still using my top box for now until I get a 52-inch wide top box. And then I will be keeping both red boxes, and then that top gray box, I will be keeping that for my son. He doesn't think he, wants it now, but he's 17, A few years down the road, he might wish he had it. So I'm going to keep that. But we got a couple things for sale. I do have the tripod gauge set that I had put in the car, the auto gauge 2 5/8. That's going up on Marketplace along with the 2 gauge panel that I bought just so I could use the water and oil gauges. So that's all going on there as a package deal. So, but anyways, the steering gearbox swap, totally worth it. I bought the box off of Rock Auto. I think shipped to my house, it was a total of, I want to say it was $400. I will have to go in and check in my history in Rock Auto, but I believe it was $400 for the new box. It was like, that was shipped, so to my door it was $400. It was like $100 less for the reman version that they do, but I figured, let's pop the extra $100 and get the brand new one that they're doing. So anyways, I'm gonna go inside, have a bite to eat, have something to drink and cool down. It is nice and hot and humid here in the Detroit area today. So anyways, other than that, hope you all have a great rest of the weekend. Please like, subscribe, hit the thing for notifications when I upload new videos. Comments are welcome. Share this with your friends, your car buddies, Torino buddies, whatever. And have a great rest of the weekend.